Hello and welcome to Quilt Addicts Anonymous. I'm Stephanie Soebbing.
And I'm Stephanie Brennan.
And we are to the end of our Intro to Garment Sewing series. So thank you to Stephanie for taking the lead on that. Making the patterns and teaching you guys how you can make their garments at home using quilting cotton or quilting adjacent fabrics like the lawn that was created here. So today's video is going to be about some resources that you guys can have to continue your journey in garment making. I know I really love to do it. Quilting is always my first love, but I love making little things for my kids. And every once in a while I make something for me. This is one of the things I made. We have some cake and some Alison Glass Mariner's cloth here. And so it's fun. I like not knowing how it's going to turn out.
Yeah, it's fun to experiment with.
It is, for sure. But so we wanted to go through a couple of resources that you guys might find useful as you're trying to figure out how to do things. We are going to try to stock all of these and keep them in stock for you. So that way we can kind of go through what they are and why you might want to have them in your stash. So the first one we're going to take a look at is the Ultimate Illustrated Guide to Sewing Clothes by Joy Mahone. We actually had Joy on as an author chat where we talked about the book, and she is phenomenal. She's she can design clothes. She is a great tailor, and the things she goes into and fit in here are just amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, there's just a lot of really good resources. It's written really well. The illustrations and photos are they're excellent.
They remade everything in here to do the photography as they went.
Oh wow.
Like they talk about the pants curve, because like you can talk about somebody, like you can have 2 size 6s, but the curve of their rear is going to be different. And so the way you fit that pants curve is going to be different. And that's something I never even thought about. When I'm going into it. And other things, like I want to make a coat, and I know you're going to show off a coat in the next video that you made for my daughter. And I know that you can use horsehair to help shape that, and that you can do pad stitching to help shape that. I know that this is a thing, and I did not, for the life of me, realize like how that actually works. Like I didn't get it at all, because I'm like, how do you do this and not have it show through? And I have Google searched a lot on this, a significant amount, and it tells you in here exactly how to do it. So it's basic stuff that is helpful to know, and also really advanced stuff. So this is a great book to have in your collection. It goes through everything. Like here's the butt shot, by the way. It just happened to be on that one. Both very slim people, but, you know, different booty curve, because, you know, we all have different things. And then here's the example of the pad stitching also, where it actually shows you, here's how you do this thing. So it's really very in-depth, and this is a must-have for your sewing library. Now, you were talking about how you need to add this to your sewing library.
I do.
So I love this. First of all, I love Oliver Ness sewing patterns. I'm very sad that they only offer them digitally now. We're not able to bring them to you wholesale, but we are able to get this book, and it's fabulous because in the back of it, you get actual templates for what's called a sloper. So that is just a bare bones basic dress size to whatever size your child is. And then it goes through and it teaches you how to create basically any different shape you want. You want to add in a gathered sleeve? Here's how you do it. You want to add in some pleats? No problem. We're going to show you how to do that. Or you want to make it a little bit bigger. And you said this was how much of your actual education?
This is probably, so my degree is in apparel design, and this is probably a full semester of my college education in this book right here. We learned how to, we did learn how to draw a block from scratch with our measurements, and that's not necessarily in here, but using the block as your starting point and building from there, like that was an entire semester in my college education. So in this book right here, like that's why I'm like, I need to get my hands on this ASAP.
And I feel like a lot of us sewing either have little children because there are children or there are grandchildren. So this is great. And let's see, what are the sizes that we get in here? 6 to 12 months to size 12. So that is a wide range. 6 to 12 months to size 12. It's got everything in here that you need to do that. There's fit recommendations and talks about making a muslin, which we didn't really go over on this one because there really isn't any specific fitting for this one.
So one thing that you can, like one skill that you're going to be learning with this is you getting into some alteration. So if you find a pattern that you like, but it doesn't necessarily come in the measurements that you need, which you want to pay attention to measurements a lot more than you do the size, because there's no
standardization.
There's no standard. There's no regulations, no uniformity. A size 12 in one company could be a size 6 in another, and then in a size 14 in another. Like, any woman who's gone shopping knows that.
Yes.
So and patterns are no different. So pay attention to your measurements a lot more, and then stuff like this is going to show you, like, as you're learning to build a sloper, you can translate that into other patterns and learn how to make those work.
And the lessons that are in this book, or the lessons that are in the fitting book that we mentioned at the beginning, these are all lessons that can be used for adults and kids. Like, I use this a lot because I have an 8-year-old who has the waist of a 2-year-old, but she's tall, so she's the height of an 8-year-old, but she's just very slim. And so whenever I make her something, I've got to figure out how do I change it up for her so that it fits properly. And this is the exact same process I did when I was going through and fitting this garment. And so the things do translate. Obviously, it's a little different when you add boobs in. But it's still like going through and taking time to make a muslin and, fit it when you're doing something that's a little bit more complicated. The wrap skirt, the skirt we did for this series, you don't really need to for that because it's just a matter of tightening up the elastic if you were off a little bit. But if you are going to go to the next level and try out like a tunic, for example, that you might want to do a muslin for to see how it fits first.
Which, have we gone over what a muslin is?
I don't think we have.
Okay.
This is a muslin.
So muslin fabric it's very basic, untreated fabric. It's usually very, very inexpensive, and you can use that to make like the outer layer or the basic shape of your garment. Try it on. See if you need to let something out, if you need to take something in, if you don't like the length or something, just see how it's going to look. It's a test garment.
Yes, and basically. You don't have to finish any seams for it.
Yeah, it's purely practice. So.
Exactly. Like whenever I make something for the kids and I change anything, like because a lot of times, like for my 2-year-old, the smallest size will be a 3. And so I pull it in a little bit to fit the 2-year-old. So I will make it and I'll make sure it'll fit her. Or like for my 8-year-old, I've got to pull it in to like sometimes like a size 3 for the width, but I still need the length. So I need to make sure that like the armhole is still going to work right when I've done that. And that it is in fact going to fit her, that I don't have to pull in more. And so this is where you make those changes as on this before you go to your pretty fabric.
And you can even, like, when I was doing the skirts, like, you don't even have to make the entire thing. You can just make the section that you're wondering about, like you mentioned, the arm's eye. You can just make down to the belly or something just to make sure that it's going to work.
Especially, like, whenever I'm doing stuff with kids, I'll just do the bodice. And then when it comes time to attach the skirt, 9 times out of 10, it's gathered. So I just make sure my height is right, and then I go from there.
Yeah.
But... Yeah.
Muslins are great.
They are great.
Yeah.
And then you have like a physical thing to refer back to when you have questions later if you want to remake it. Like this dress behind me, I made many times. And you can refer back to that pattern instead of having to figure out, well, what did I do last time? I don't quite remember. I didn't take the notes. So I like to kind of keep them together clipped up. But it's a great book. Great book. So Leslie Gibson, who wrote The Building Block Dress, also has a pattern line for adults and specifically adult women. So that's Leslie & Co. This, if you wanted to get into tunics and start doing tops, this is a good one to give a go with because it's woven. You do have to pay attention because some of her patterns are specifically for knit. So you want to make sure that you are getting the pattern and the material that works with that, or you might not be able to get it on when you're done.
Yeah, you can't really translate a woven pattern to a knit.
Yeah, it doesn't work very well.
Yeah.
So, but it is fun. And speaking of tunics, my tunic was created from the Tunic Bible. So let me pull that out. This one is super fun as well. It teaches you a basic tunic, and then it gives you a ton of variations. You want to have a high collar? No problem. You want to have poofy sleeves? Also no problem. You want to do a sleeveless or a dress? Also no problem. And the great part of this is once you get your basic bodice fitted, like everything else will work off of that. So like I still have my basic pattern that I created to fit this perfectly to me and have my bust darts go to the right spot. So I don't have to recreate that every time. I can just change up the sleeves and the fabric or maybe the length, and I'm good to go. So this is a really fun one to have as well. Have you done tunics?
It's been a while, but yeah, tunics are fun because they're so versatile, and it's a very simple pattern that you can really do a lot with.
We actually had, when we had a brick and mortar, when we would have in-person classes, one of our customers taught this class, and I took it to make this garment here. We've got Kafe on the placket and some Allison Glass Mariner's cloth, which we still have a couple yards of because you guys are afraid of it, but it's really fun, and it's really, really, I love wearing this. It's very nice and breezy. But she would always say that the tunics were great because they covered the squishy bits. And so you just accentuate the ladies, and then everything else just is kind of flowy, so you can't really tell what's going on under there. So it's a great pattern, and it's very versatile, and you can change it up a bunch of different ways. So a couple other pattern companies that we really like are Tilly and the Buttons and Jolie, and I might be saying that one wrong. Tilly and the Buttons is great. She was on the Great British Sewing Bee, I think. I think that was her claim to fame.
That's cool.
She's written a bunch of books. Her one on stretch for knits is amazing. I love it. But that's not this course. But this skirt is really good. It's a wrap skirt, so still no buttons and no zippers or anything like that. And it just is gonna tie in front, and the panel is like kind of off in the hip curve, so that way you're not gonna flash anybody in the back. But this would be another different skirt that you guys could do to sort of challenge yourself, get a little bit different skill set in, but you still don't have to be intimidated by those zippers or buttons or anything.
Yeah.
So we can push that off a little more. This company is really great too because they size their patterns very, very large. They go all the way from 12 month all the way to size 22. So that is a very, very good size range. We're actually going to be reaching out to them to see if we can feature this pajama pants pattern with some flannel that we have for some Christmas pajama pants. So this is a really great company, and I feel like the instructions are really easy to follow. The biggest thing is you don't have to go with like the big pattern companies when you want to get something like this. You can 100% go with independent pattern designers. A lot of times it's going to be printed on more substantial paper, so it's not going to tear on you while you're working with it and be kind of feel flimsy. And
yeah, that tissue paper is
hard.
Is not fun to work with.
No, it's not. It is not. And that's why I trace like everything out when I do it. But this is just, it's really fun. And what I really like about making garments, at least for my kids, is that you can tailor it. You can come up with exactly what you need. Or if you have a kid that isn't, or yourself that isn't a typical size, once you know what you're doing, you can tailor that to fit their needs. We have one more video after this. We're going to take a look at some of the things that we have all actually made, mostly from quilting fabric or things that you can get from quilt shop or quality manufacturers like Free Spirit or Andover, things like that. And so we are going to take a peek at that. But this is not the end. We're going to come out with some new videos. We want to do some pajama pants. We talked about figuring out how to do an add-on pocket for these skirts later because my skirt does have pockets.
We love pockets.
But we didn't want to make it too complicated for you for like the first skirt. But that's coming. And I was thinking of some other things too that might be fun. Like I like to finish my inside hems when you don't need a lining with single fold bias tape that I pulled from a fat quarter. And it just adds a fun little pop of color and it's cute. And so we'll have little technique videos coming up for you as well as some more projects.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yes. All right. Well, thanks so much for following along, and we will be back with a little show and tell. And until next time, happy quilting
and happy garment sewing.